There goes your 401k, sweethearts. And that's why I spoke out against 401ks forever. You know, and all you guys who are you're planning on renting your property, people won't be able to afford the rents. That's what it means.
Well, so total credit is equal to total debt, because one person's loan is another person's debt, right? So the two have to equal each other. So one way of thinking about this, the easiest way to think about it, is all the debt in the country. Government debt, household sector debt, corporate debt, financial sector debt, all the debt. It first went through $1 trillion in 1964 when I was 4 years old. Now it's $90 trillion, from 1 trillion to 90 trillion during my lifetime. And this credit explosion, which would not have been possible if we had remained on a gold system where dollars were backed by gold. But this explosion of credit has transformed the world.
Wait, Richard, hang on. You're speaking like an economist again. Credit is what the Fed and the Treasury allow people to get to the big banks, like Wells Fargo and all that, and that credit then allows people, the banks, to send out debt. So then corporations and individuals come in and they take credit and they turn it into debt, but it's the same thing. So by creating credit, debt could explode. Am I correct on that or incorrect?
No, I think you put that exactly right.
Yeah, credit's not a word people use. They use credit card. But they think about debt, their household debt. So that's what I'm saying. We don't teach economists. You know, we teach everyday mom and pop who's trying to speculate on their 401k or their house.
The reason I tend to use credit is because I say this system that we have now is not capitalism, it's creditism.
Yes.
Creditism sounds better than debtism. I tried that. Creditism works better.
Yeah,
Capitalism to creditism. Because credit growth drives economic growth now. We're dependent on it.
Yeah, what Richard is saying is the way America grew was because we produced products. Now we don't produce products, they create credit or debt. Am I correct on that one?
That's right. Instead of our economy being driven by investment and savings as it used to be, is now driven by credit creation and consumption, and more credit creation and consumption. And that's been great. The problem is it requires credit growth to survive. If credit contracts, we have a depression. And that has made us dependent now on government borrowing and government spending to keep us out of depression.
So if you're going to buy, I don't know how many people, I took your advice. I bought a house. I want to make some money. I said, at the top of the frickin' market? And what about all these guys in these 401ks? 401ks came into existence in 1974. It was called ERISA. And I've been speaking out against 401ks because I will get censored for this one. But 401ks are like a condom. It gives you a false sense of security where you're being screwed. Do you know what I mean? And if this market crashes, when they raise these interest rates, if they do, you know, your 401k turns to 201.
But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
Alright, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, the honors and apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and a few sisters out there, unto the Israelite foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. No one this be a quick show. I'm gonna try to make this quick. I'm gonna hit some key points, and then we'll go from there through the spirit. I want your brothers to be edified. It's something I have to really think through. Well, I'm gonna start with the scripture. It says Proverbs 22:7. It says, "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." So I'm gonna read it again. It says, "The rich ruleth over the poor," which is quite obvious, and the borrower is sent to the servant. The borrower is servant to the lender. So you have two contrasts. Not a contrast, but the Captain Obvious, the rich always rule over the poor. But what keeps a man in debt is lending. And we live in a society. That's 2 videos I've seen. But no one, I'll put one of the videos, or both of them, with this particular video. And you shall see. And the guy in one video basically said, we're not in a debt society, we're in a credit society. Alright? In other words, it's all about credit. This society is built upon credit. It's not built upon anything which ultimately is your debt. Because the more you owe, the more people, it's weird. So you have to borrow money that you don't have, in order to get the things that you should be able to get on your own. But the society pushes you have to have good credit for that. So if your credit's not good, you're not able to function in the society. And that's how they built it. And I remember when I was a kid graduating high school, I didn't know nothing about it, you know? And somebody used to tell me like, yo, you got to make sure you get your credit good, this, that, to the third. I was like, what? You know, being ignorant, not knowing what the future holds. What young teenager is going to worry about credit or credit cards? When you go to college, the first thing that comes in your to your mailbox is a free credit card. And that free credit card is not free, which they don't really tell you. They don't break it down to you, because we're not taught that in the hood. We're not taught to be money managers. All right? We're taught to make money, and that's it. And how you make money is your business. All right? Usually people make their money by illegal ways. So this society is truly not educated in the fact of money, finances, and so forth. All right. Now the same energy that they have now to buy a house, real estate, buy cars. When you go 50 years ago, maybe 50, 60 years ago, you could actually purchase, maybe I'm wrong, maybe like the 1930s, but I didn't look it up. You could actually buy a house straight up, and that's your house. Now you asking a bank for a loan that you will pay back 30 years from now, and not knowing if you're able to afford it. That's why it's a thing called mortgage. So this society is built upon debt. Now, I was contemplating a couple of scriptures, and that came in mind. But we do a lot of shows on the MOTB, which is 100% factual. But when you look at, sometimes you gotta look at origin stories, like where this debt thing come about. When did this all started? What formula did they use? Matter of fact, before I get that, let me get this. This is from the book of Satan's Angel Exposed. All right. This is page 187. Should I go to the next page? This whole chapter, which is about money manipulation, which is a good chapter, but I always, I took a picture of it before, and I had to download the actual book in PDF. And matter of fact, before I get this, let me get the scripture that I was telling about. So remember, there's nothing new under the sun, right? Matter of fact, let's start with that scripture. Ecclesiastes 3:15. No, sorry. Maybe it's Ecclesiastes 1. I quote the scripture, so I don't want to make sure. Alright. Ecclesiastes 1:14. It says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. That's 1. There it is. 9. It says, the thing that has been, it is that which shall be, which is man. And that which is done is that which shall be done. So same thing that is done now was done in the past. Keep that in mind. And there's no new thing under the sun. So this whole notion of debt or credit-based system is nothing new. All right? It's nothing new. Remember, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Real quick. Psalms 64:1, it says, Psalm of David, hear my voice, O Yahweh, in my prayer. Preserve me from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. All right. So David, who had all nations under him, still quoted a prayer which it affects us to this day. There's a secret group of men that decided many, many years ago, they'll tell you May 1st, 1776, to have the world the way it is. But once again, where did it get these things from? That's the main thing. So, without further ado, I'm going to go to the scripture. Genesis 41 and 54, and I'm going to jump. Genesis 41 and 54. So if you don't know the story, read Genesis, the 41st chapter. It tells you about key people. All right. And one of the key people was a Hebrew Israelite by the name of Joseph, who broke down a dream that the Pharaoh had at the time. And this is the results of it. Genesis 41 and 54. And 7 years of dearth, which dearth means famine, began to come according as Joseph had said, and the dearth was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So outside of Egypt, all right, was all these other nations, but all these other nations there was a famine, showing that famines is the lack of bread in certain places. It's not that food is not growing, or it's that the areas that they were at, there was no food. All right, so they had to all go to Egypt. Okay, that's the Canaanites, and all in that region, they had to go to Egypt because Egypt had the food, because the dream that the Lord gave unto Pharaoh, and Joseph broke it down, that 7 years of plenty and 7 years of not plenty. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to the Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph, what saith to you do? And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. So Egypt itself was affected, right? It says all the countries came unto Egypt. To buy corn, because that the famine was sore in all lands. So what made Egypt a powerhouse, an empire, was corn. All right, you could say Egypt was the greatest disputer of corn in that region at that time, which corn became a staple house for the majority of people around that area. To this day, corn is one of the highly hybrid and genetic modified food on earth, but is useful in a sense, so to speak. So I'm gonna jump Genesis 47, start 12. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to their families. So jump in that the children of Israel, which Jacob and his sons came to Egypt. And the whole story of Joseph tricking his brothers and angry at them, but that he forgave them and got them all to come into the land because the Lord preserved Israel, and Israel became a nation in the land of Egypt. All right, 70 souls went, and it became a nation of people. Verse 13, and there was no bread in all the land, for famine was very sore, so that all Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt. So they did what? A cash recall. They took all the coins, and they took, right, in all the land of Egypt for the corn which they bought. And Joseph bought the money into Pharaoh's house. So his treasury, he was rich. It means Pharaoh's treasury was even more, because this was an emergency, right? And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, so there was no more money that was circulating. Sounds familiar? All the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence, for the money faileth. So I was sitting there like, wait a minute. Let's put two to two together. What are the elites? What game plan are the elites playing right now? Oh, that's right. So modern day today, how is everything function? Everything's function. We live in capitalism side of the world, communism on the other side. But the functional thing is money. So when you have fiat currency, which fiat meaning you make money out of nothing, because nothing's backing up these paper loans, these debts, all right, which is circulating right now, which people are killing for one another, people doing all sorts of madness for these fiat currencies. But when famine and cyber attack, whatever happens, your access to money is no longer going to be able to save you. It's not going to be able to aid you in the time to come. All right, real quick, I'm gonna come back to this because there's more to it. There's a couple of scriptures, actually, a lot of scriptures. Zephaniah 1 and 11. Actually, Zephaniah 1 and 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling for the second, and a great crashing from the hills. The fish gate. If a city, major income, if a city that's near a seaport, major income is fish, or some sort of what word I'm looking for? I can't think of it right now. All right. If your source of income is marina food, or Mediterranean food, whatever the case may be, things of the nature that you get in the sea, and the gates crash, meaning there's no way for fish to come in, no way that you could trade, okay, because a lot of places is all about trading, then guess what happens? Then the people start to starve, and people start to suffer because they can't trade the main source of income that was coming. It says, how for ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all that bear silver are cut off. So people that's fully invested in making their finances from main sources like Wall Street and so forth, they're gonna howl, all right? Because the main income right now is digital money. Things that you just punch in. It's not actual money. All right. So they play with the numbers, but it still have to have some sort of backing of some sort. So if the dollars stop circulating, like in the previous video was stating that they're gonna stop printing and start destroying the money to keep the inflation at a not a minimum, but before it won't damage the economy like it is. All right. So all this is what, to prevent a major crash, which is a major crash is going to happen, regardless how they want to play it out, because it all goes back to where did it get their blueprint from. Let me go back to this before I lose my train of thought, because that's also Isaiah the 19th chapter. It tells you that many years later that the Egyptians, other main sources, the paper reed, I believe it's called, and they used that for everything. All right, so that was their main sources. So the Lord said that He was going to take that from them. Okay. So Genesis 47:15, and when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, so what's happening? Money is failing. All right, the fiat currency is failing. Same formula. Okay, this time, but back then it wasn't a formula by the Magi's. It was that the Lord allowed it to happen. Now the modern day Magi's now, they're making it happen. And I'm going to prove that in the book, that section I was talking about. It says, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, because they didn't care about nothing else but food. For why should we die in thy presence for money that faileth? And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they bought their cattle unto Joseph. So they took money, it didn't work, then they using actual livestock, which is money. And Joseph gave them bread. So they exchanged livestock for some bread, for some food. All right. Which also proves that what? They didn't even consider what they had. Because if you have cattle, you can eat off the cattle, right? You're not gonna eat off. You could eat off of bread for a time period, but it was so bad that they wasn't even on that tip. It says, give them. And Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for flocks, and for the cattle of herds. So real assets, okay? And for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all the cattle for that year. When the year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. So let's look at it in another point of view. You live in a society where everything is about spending. It's not about saving. Everything's about spending. We live in a society that's indebted. We live in a society that people just go out there and spend. If the money doesn't circulate in the economy doesn't do good, supposedly. Right? It says, my Lord have okay, how that our money is spent, my Lord, also our herds of cattle, there is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. So for the exchange of eating, they gave up their bodies and their land. Sounds familiar? Because that's what's happening now. For people's safety, for people's well-being, to keep themselves status quo in society, they're going to be willing to give up their bodies and their lands. They're real estate, which the majority of people don't even own their real estate now, and their bodies. Okay. So let me go to this real quick. It says in page 187. I'm just gonna go to the bullet, not the bullet, but the numbers. It's talking about. It says Howard J. Ruffer, an economist analyst, sees in the future, near future, exploding inflation, price control. So what is price control? The government matching what your local business is doing. So they regulating that, even though they could give you cheaper, but because of the prices, they have to put it up higher, right? That's exactly what's happening. The erosion of your savings eventually to nothing. So same thing that happened back then. The people spent what they had in order to survive. All right, that means including their savings. A collapse of private as well as government pension programs. Visiting more government regulations to control your life, which is spiritual too, because Joseph at the time was the governor. Now he didn't do the thing to be what's that I'm looking for? To be deceitful. It was actual things that was happening. So the elites, they know the scriptures. So they're applying the same rule of thumb to exactly that was done in the past. All right? They're forcing the families. They're forcing everything so people could go to the bigger government. All right? Because that's how Pharaoh's house in Egypt got big. Because the Egyptians, through Joseph, the government got bigger. All right? Because of the circumstance. It says, as an international monetary holocaust, which will sweep all paper currency down the drain and turn the world upside down, which is happening. All right? That's why you have the Davos, or you have the WEF, the World Economic Forum. They're discussing different scenarios. They're discussing the potential things for the future. When you have Klaus Schwab talking about a brain chip that's gonna know what everybody's thinking of. All right, this shit is real, because they have gotten everybody in a way of comfort to believe that money is the solution to everything. And once they got you in that mindset, yes, the scripture says money is a defense. All right, but the scriptures also says wisdom is a defense, is a greater defense. But you need money to defend yourself. But we live in a society where people are greedy. People are infatuated with money. They will do whatever it takes for money, even selling their own bodies. All right. It says international monetary holocaust will sweep all paper currency down the drain and turn world upside down. The Federal Reserve System is just one small piece of the puzzle, as we are free people fitting into a one world society. You can look for the current American currency system to collapse one of these days. And it was brilliant economist Ludwig van Mises who said, government is only institution that can take valuable commodity like paper and make it worthless by applying ink, which is absolutely right. It says printing money has also been given government specialty. In fact, is the one thing they do well. Howard J. Ruff resolved, because they could printing something that's worthless. There's no value. I mean, they make more money in the bonds, like the guy was stating, than the actual printing of the paper. So this is all wicked, man. It says in the United States banking system, dominated by no more than 15 banking groups, most of them controlled by giant handling companies. these bank holding companies include, which you could read for yourselves, and these are the same banks that was in the Davos, the meeting, all right? And I remember they said, what, Bank of America? And Bank of America just had an issue with people's money missing. So they have people believing, putting their money, if I'm not mistaken, I did see it. They have people believing, trusting in putting their money in the bank. All right, not under your household. They trust you to put your money in the bank. What did they get? Everything is nothing. There's nothing new under the sun. They got it from the scriptures. All right, this man is the devil. He takes what he reads in the scriptures and he flip it to his benefit. That's the way it is. He takes what's true and then he flips it and make it a lie. So while people is actually giving up actual assets that could help them survive, they'd rather take the money and live by it. Okay? I didn't get to read the rest of it, so I'm not gonna just read anything. But it was also talking about banks. So let's go to the scripture. Habakkuk 2:5. It says, "Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is proud." What is that wine? That philosophy. This man actually have the world split into two major things. Capitalism, where you can make your own money, which is not yours, might I add. It's always about the rich staying rich. And then you have communism, when people believe that you work, everybody works, and it's for everybody, while the rich stays rich. So this is the wine that this man has spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. It says, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home. All right, so he takes his philosophy, he takes his way of life, and he spread it throughout the whole four corners of the earth, that's prophetic. Revelations 20:7 and Revelations 20 and I'm not gonna get it 9. All right, who deceived the whole world. And Jeremiah 51:7 tells you he got the whole world drunken off of his wine. Therefore the nations are mad. All right, who enlargeth his desire is hell, is as death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's what's happened. The same formula back then is applied to now. All right, and once again, it was a natural thing, which was not the Lord was doing, and now Esau is doing it because he have a God complex. So he have all the nations gathering. That's why you have things. It's in a book too, but I can't. Like I said, I didn't read the whole thing. It's talking about the nation. I mean, not the nations, borders, no borders. All right, and all that sort. So when you have no borders, you could gather all nations. America alone is known as a great melting pot. Okay, wherever Esau has nation, Europe and so forth, and they have open borders all over the world. Okay, because he's heaping unto him all people. And why does he heaping to all people? So he can control them. It's all about control. It's not about because he cares about other people. It's all about control. It's about the new world order. All right. And what people are willing to do for their freedom, they're gonna do whatever it takes for their freedom, even to giving their bodies. It says, verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and taught in proverb against him, saying, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, which is the Hebrew word for thick clay is abatyat, which means debt. Right now, the American debt clock is over $31 trillion. All right, and that's just public knowledge. Who knows how much other $1 trillion that they owe? And every single American citizen owes something. So, does it not make sense that you come with a device to clear up all the debt that people have, right? Now to get to me, not my favorite scripture. What is this? Isaiah 32:5, and it says, "The vile person shall no more be called liberal," which liberal means noble, nor true should be bountiful. The vile person would speak villainy, all right, because the system that he created a debt-based system, all right. So it leaves everybody no fucking choice but to give up the one thing that they have. Oh, real quick, this is, I had that in mind. Job, is it 2:7? Job 2:4. It said, "And Satan also answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yet all that a man have will he give for his life." So this ain't that the Egyptians and the Canaanites was willing to do. They was willing to give up their bodies just for food. So imagine food and everything else. So the world is in the hands of Satan. Literally, the world's in the hands of Satan. Okay, matter of fact, since I said that, Revelations 6:5, it says, "And when I had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast saying, Come and see. And I behold, lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balance in his hand." So was it balanced? Was it proper? No. Okay. It was lump-sided, so to speak. "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, Measure of wheat for a penny." So wheat is used for bread. All right. Going back to the Egyptians, they received bread for money. So, and it says, for a measure of wheat for a penny. So amount of wheat that is given compared to the pennies is not going to be enough. All right, it's out of balance. It's out of sort. So a penny is a day's wager. So can you imagine you working a job and you make $200-300 a day, and that $200-300 a day is just for groceries alone, just for you to fucking survive? That's not right. But that's what's coming. All right, famine, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So we living in a time of famine. We live in a time of unbalance. Okay, and this is what Esau, so-called white man, deliberately have done to the world. So people are going to be willing to give up their lives just for a taste of freedom, just to eat, just to survive. All right, so it's not right. Isaiah 32:6, it says, "For the vile person shall speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity." And that's going back to what I just stated, Genesis 47 chapter. All right, he's gonna speak things uprightly, but he's being a villain, taking away the rights of the people. All right, they want to attack freedom of speech, call it misinformation. They're attacking everybody. Anything or anyone that questions what they're doing is going to be a extent of their law to destroy you. It says to practice hypocrisy, because what they're practicing, they're acting like they care about the well-beings of people, but with their soft words, which, there's a whole bunch of scriptures on that. With their soft words, they're destroying many. Okay? into Slakia, into utter error against the Lord. And listen, the Lord created the earth and the things of the earth to give to man freely. This man has made water, air, fruits that's supposed to grow on their own. He made that all to be purchased when it was freely given. So then it's telling you that the Lord made a mistake. All right, you got built the gates of hell that own all the damn near all the farmlands in America. What the hell he needs that for? How does a guy that controls Microsoft 1 minute, who can't even get a virus off his fucking computer, all of a sudden cares about the well-being of mankind? It says to make empty the soul of the hungry. That's what it all boils down to. All right? He's making empty the souls of the hungry. And the majority of these people, this food today, the modern day food, is a drug. Straight up. It's a fucking drug. If you can't get that hit, plus all the other drugs that they give you, all right, then you will die. Okay? And he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instrument also of the children are evil. And what is it? What is that instrument? Matter of fact, I think I did look it up. Instrument in the Hebrew is kalyal, artificial vessel, implement. All right. Utensil, object generally. Utensil, implement, apparatus, vessel, implement of hunting or war, implement of music, implement, tool of labor. So everything that's come in mind, music is attacking you. All right, the labor force, the wages for the labor force is not correct. The man he's implemented all these things. This instrument, this tool, everything that he used in his economy is against you. Equipment, yoke of oxen, utensil, furniture, vessel, receptacle, general, vessel, boats, or paper reed. There's that paper reed again. So everything that is supposed to be in your use for you is used against you. All right. But the main instrument that he has, which I'm going to get it, I'm going to start at 13. Revelations 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which is what? What is the image of the beast? Ultimately, the New World Order. All right? Because the beast itself, the beast system, it goes back. It goes way back. Okay? But the main beast was the Roman Empire. All right? And under the umbrella of the Roman Empire gathered all nations. That the image of the beast should both speak, which is speaking now, because we under the New World Order. All right? And cause as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So your body's at risk. Your mind, your spirit is at risk to be destroyed if you're not part of the system that this man created. All right? He gave you the false narrative of trusting his system, trusting his money system, because that's what it boils down to. It's trusting his system. And this is what's gotten the majority of people. Where you can't even leave everybody named mama, you need a banking system to do anything. Why they did that for? To track everybody's movement, which is all leading to this, the charagma. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand on their foreheads. All right. That's why Carl Schwab said what he said. He said many years from now, 2 years from now, they're going to have an implant. Everybody in the room is going to have an implant. And they're going to be able to know what everybody's thinking. All right? This is not fiction. This is not fictional. This is not just a conspiracy. This is reality. This is what these people are doing. All right. This is the end game. And we always say the Greek word for that is charagma, or mark, which means to insert. All right, to cut through, to insert. It's clear as day what's going on, and that no man might buy or sell, except he that had the mark, or the number of the beast, or the number of his name. So you can't do no sort of business without this stamp of approval. All right, without this digital ooh. Okay. Everything that this man is doing, he's doing it because he read it in the scriptures, and he's manipulating everything that he's read for his favor. All right, every single thing. Let's go back to this. I'm gonna end it on. Well, actually, just come on. Back in Isaiah 32, I believe I was at 7. The instrument, which is that Revelations 13 and 16, MOCBC hip, also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor, and that's the secret counsel. All right, is utterly to destroy the poor with lying words, which he obviously is doing, even when the needy speaketh right. So the last two things through the Spirit, I always say the last two things to go in America is the freedom of speech and guns, and they work hand in hand. All right, so they're devising devices to take the guns away from the people and then shut their mouths. Okay, we are in the new world order. Literally, we are in the new world order. All right. I had something else in mind. Well, you know what? I'm just ending off that. And it says, but the liberal, the true nobles, the true men of freedom, which are the prophets, devises liberal things, which is what? The kingdom of heaven. All right? Freedom from this matrix system that they created. Okay? It says, and by liberal things shall he stand. And that liberal thing is what? The destruction of America. All right? Because this is the final call. This is the final push. And GMS is at the forefront pushing the charagma. All right? Telling the world about the charagma. Even the world knows that, but these other camps don't even want to do that. Because with this charagma in effect, what is going to happen? The Lord is going to intervene, all right? Because the hour of temptation is coming. And the hour of temptation is what? You being tempted to take that device that this man has in order for you to live for a moment, for a season in this wicked society, which is going to be destroyed. All right? And the Lord is going to put the Spirit on his men to combat that hour of temptation, which once again is the elect. All right? Because this thing is going to try the whole entire world. The whole world is in it together. They all follow the same blueprint what took place in Egypt in the time of Joseph. And then the citizens are willing to give up. They're going to be willing to give up their body. Not only their bodies and their souls to this fraudulent system. That's why this judgment is going to be so great. Matter of fact, me ending off on the judgment. Revelations 14 and 9. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, all right, that means his political party, that means this whole transformer thing, It's LGBT, everything that this man is saying that's against the Heavenly Father and His Son. All right, this man openly talking about depopulation, people trying to kill one another, want people other dead. That's part of worshiping the image of the beast. All right, this whole educational system. Can you believe that people to this day right now, actually there's too many people on the planet Earth and people have to die? So it is nothing but pure death. All right, that's part of the beast system. That's part of the image. All right, people are self-mutilating themselves. How about that? And it says, any man worship the beast and his image, this new world order, and receive the mark. So receive his mark, because it's that man. All right, you're not only telling that you're aligned to the new world order, you're aligned to a particular race of people who's ruling the world. In his forehead or in his hand, so there could be a right or left, doesn't matter. It's something that's a foreign object that's gonna be in your body. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture in the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angel and the presence of the Lamb. Because when the Lord comes back, he's not going to see human beings. He's going to see abominations. All right? Because these people, who said it? The Apostle Paul said it. Said the Lord couldn't even save you if you got that thing in you. He could have saved you if he wanted to. All right? Because you made that alliance. So this is the most dangerous thing a man or a woman could consider, considering what's going to happen. They all going to starve people to death. They're going to do whatever it takes to take away your freedoms. But you got to say no. Because if you don't, this is what's going to end up happening. All right? So that being said, I hope you was edified. Shalom to the elect and the nation Israel. Shalom.